I saw the message before I even understood what I was looking at. Delete our thread before he gets home. And it wasn't on her phone. It was on her Apple Watch, lighting up right in front of me while the shower was running and my wife was 10 feet away asking, calm as ever, "Hey, have you seen my phone?" For a second, I actually tried to convince myself there had to be a harmless explanation, that maybe I read it wrong, that maybe it wasn't what it sounded like. But my chest had already gone cold in that way where your body figures it out before your brain lets you. We had been married 9 years, together for 12. The kind of couple people call solid, because nothing ever looks dramatic from the outside. And that's the part that keeps messing with me now, because for the last 2 months something had been off in small, quiet ways I kept explaining away. She started sleeping with her phone under her pillow. She turned it face down even when she was just walking across the room. She began stepping outside to take calls and coming back irritated, like I had already accused her of something just by noticing. Every time I asked if we were okay, she would laugh like I was being dramatic and say, "You always do this when I'm stressed. Not everything is about you." After a while, I stopped pushing, started apologizing just to make the tension go away. And I hate how easy it was for her to make me doubt what I was seeing. So when she came out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel, I didn't yell. I just held up the watch and asked, as steady as I could, "Who needs to delete a thread before I get home?" She didn't look confused. She looked annoyed. She took one glance at the screen, then at me, and said, "Are you seriously going through my things now?" I told her it popped up in front of me, and her expression shifted. Not guilty, not even nervous, just cold and calculating. "It's Hannah," she said. "She's talking about her boyfriend." "You're embarrassing yourself," I said. "Then unlock your phone." She actually smirked. "No, I'm not rewarding this behavior." That should have been enough. But it got worse an hour later when her sister called me by accident instead of her, and the first thing I heard was, "Did he see the messages?" Then silence. Then the line went dead so fast it felt rehearsed. Nicole swore it was a misunderstanding, swore I was spiraling, swore I needed help, and she said it so convincingly that for one disgusting second I almost wanted to believe her. Then I looked down and saw her phone lighting up on the counter. The name didn't register at first, because my brain refused to process it. Ryan, my best friend. And Nicole moved faster than I had ever seen her move. The sound that came out of my mouth when I saw Ryan's name on her screen did not even sound human to me. It was like all the air in my chest turned into something sharp and broken at the same time. And Nicole moved so fast for that phone that the wine glass hit the counter, shattered across the tile, and sprayed red over the cabinets like the room itself had been cut open. I just stood there staring at her while she clutched the phone against her chest, breathing hard, barefoot in a towel, surrounded by broken glass, and somehow she still looked at me like I was the threat. I said, "Tell me that's not him. Tell me right now that my best friend is not the one texting you to delete things." She shook her head with this disgusted little laugh and said, "You are making yourself look insane. Ryan was helping me with your birthday." I remember actually blinking at her because it was such a lazy lie, such an insulting lie, and I asked why my birthday required secret threads, hidden calls, and her sister panicking about whether I had seen the messages. She snapped back, "Because this is exactly why. Because you ruin everything when you get paranoid." Then she unlocked the phone just long enough to turn the screen away from me, jab at something, and lock it again. That tiny movement told me more than any confession could have, because innocent people do not erase things in front of you while pretending nothing is wrong. I told her to call Ryan on speaker. She refused so quickly it was almost funny. I said, "If this is all in my head, prove it." She folded her arms and stared at me with that dead, flat expression I had been seeing more and more lately, the one that made me feel like I was talking to somebody wearing my wife's face. "I am not feeding your insecurity," she said. "You want to destroy your friendships and your marriage because of one message and one phone call? Go ahead, but I'm not participating in this circus." I asked her why she had been dressing up to go to the grocery store, why she suddenly cared about gym sessions she never used to attend, why she kept telling me she was at Hannah's house when Hannah's husband had asked me last week if Nicole was feeling okay because he had not seen her in over a month. The second I said that, something flickered across her face, fast but real, and I knew I had finally stepped on a wire she forgot to bury. She recovered immediately and told me I must have heard him wrong, then tried to walk past me like the conversation was over. But I followed her into the bedroom and said Ryan's name again, slower this time, like maybe hearing it out loud would force the truth into the room. Instead, she turned vicious. She said, "Do you know what your problem is? You need to believe everybody is betraying you because then you never have to admit how exhausting you are to live with." That hit me hard because it was so precise, like she had been saving it. I asked her if Ryan had been in my house. She said no without hesitation. I asked if she had met him alone. Another instant no. I asked if she could swear on our marriage that nothing was going on, and that was the first time she looked away. It was just for a second, but it was enough to make my stomach drop. Then she did something I still cannot stop replaying. She unlocked her phone, opened her photo gallery, and shoved it toward me with this triumphant expression like she was ending the whole argument. "Here," she said, "look at whatever you want. I have nothing to hide." But the gallery was almost empty. Just random screenshots, a recipe, a picture of our dog, and a receipt from some store she never goes to. It was too clean, too bare, like a hotel room nobody actually lives in. And then I noticed the detail that made my skin go cold. At the top of the screen, her cloud sync had been turned off. I do not know what made me do it. Maybe desperation, maybe instinct, maybe the last sane part of me trying to survive. But while she was still talking, I walked straight past her, grabbed my keys, and went out to the driveway to check her car. She followed me in house shoes and that towel, hissing my name like I was embarrassing her in front of the neighbors. But I was already pulling open the passenger door, the back seat, the center console, anything I could get my hands on. "There is nothing in there," she kept saying, louder and louder, until I opened the trunk and saw the overnight bag I had never seen before, packed, zipped, and tucked beneath an old blanket like it had been waiting for the right moment to disappear. I looked at Nicole, and for the first time that night, she did not have a lie ready. Then my phone started ringing in my pocket, and when I pulled it out, it was Ryan calling me at 11:43 p.m. I just stood there staring at Ryan's name lighting up my phone, while Nicole watched me like she was trying to calculate how much damage had already been done and how much she could still control. And for a second I honestly considered not answering because there was still this fragile, pathetic part of me that thought if I did not pick up, maybe none of it would become real. Maybe it could all stay in that blurry space where doubt lives instead of hard truth. But then Nicole said, very quietly, "Don't." And that one word told me everything I needed to know, because it was not concern, it was fear. So I answered. I put it on speaker without even breaking eye contact with her and said, "Hey man," like this was any normal call, like my life was not actively collapsing around me. And there was this half-second of silence on the other end before Ryan spoke, and his voice sounded tight, controlled, like he was stepping onto thin ice. "Hey, are you home?" he asked, and I laughed, actually laughed, because the question itself felt like a confession. "Yeah," I said. "I'm home. Why?" Another pause, longer this time, and then he said, "I was just checking in. Nicole said you guys had a rough day." I turned slowly and looked at her, and she shook her head at me, subtle but urgent, like she was trying to will me into playing along with her version of reality. I said, "That's interesting, because Nicole told me you were helping her plan something for me. My birthday, right?" His silence stretched so long it started to hum in my ears. Nicole stepped closer, lowering her voice like she was trying to calm down a wild animal. "Give me the phone," she said. "You're twisting everything." I ignored her. "Ryan," I said, sharper now, "why were you texting my wife to delete your messages?" And that was it. That was the moment everything should have cracked wide open. But instead of confessing, instead of even stumbling, he did something almost worse. He chuckled. Not nervous, not guilty. Just this low, dismissive laugh like I had told a bad joke. "Dude," he said, "what are you talking about?" And Nicole seized that opening immediately, stepping in front of me, her voice rising just enough to sound wounded. "This is what I've been dealing with all night," she said into the phone. "He saw one thing and now he's inventing an entire story." I felt my grip tighten on the phone. "Then explain the bag in your trunk," I said, looking straight at her, and for a split second she froze again. That same flicker, that same crack, but she recovered faster this time. "I was going to stay at Hannah's," she snapped, turning back to Ryan like I was not even there, like I was some inconvenience she had to manage. "Because I can't talk to him when he gets like this." Ryan let out this long sigh, the kind you use when you want to sound like the reasonable one, and said, "Man, you need to take a breath. You're jumping to conclusions." That hurt more than anything else so far. The way he slid so easily into that tone, like he had already rehearsed this exact situation. I felt something shift inside me then, something colder, more focused, like the shock was finally burning off and leaving something sharper behind. "Okay," I said, calm now, almost steady. "Then come over." Both of them went completely still. "What?" Ryan asked. "Come over," I repeated. "Right now. If I'm crazy, if this is all in my head, then you can stand here with both of us and clear it up." Nicole's hand clamped down on my wrist so hard it actually hurt, her nails digging into my skin as she whispered, "Stop." Not asked, not pleaded, ordered. Ryan hesitated again, and this time I could hear something underneath it, something that sounded a lot like calculation. "It's late," he said finally. "We can talk tomorrow." And that was when I knew he would not come. Not because it was inconvenient, but because being in the same room with both of us at the same time was something he could not risk. I pulled my arm free from Nicole's grip and said, "Yeah, I didn't think so." And I hung up before he could say anything else. The silence that followed felt heavier than anything that had happened so far, like the house itself was waiting for one of us to finally tell the truth. Nicole took a step back from me, crossing her arms again, rebuilding that wall I had been hitting all night, and said, "You just destroyed your best friendship over nothing." And that was when my phone buzzed again. Not a call this time, a message, from a number I did not recognize. It was just a single photo, no text, no explanation, just an image loading slowly on my screen while Nicole watched my face. And the second it came into focus, my knees almost gave out because it was a picture of my own bedroom, taken from inside the room, at an angle I had never seen before. I did not realize I had stopped breathing until my chest started to ache, because I was staring at that photo like my brain refused to process what my eyes were clearly seeing. My own bedroom, my side of the bed slightly unmade, the lamp on my nightstand tilted the way it always is, and the worst part was the angle. Low and off to the corner, like someone had been standing inside that space, comfortable enough to take their time. Nicole's voice cut in, sharp and impatient. "What is it now?" But I could not answer her right away because my mind was racing through every possibility at once, each one worse than the last, each one landing in the same place I did not want to go. I turned the phone toward her without saying a word, and for the first time that night, I saw something real break through her control. Not anger, not annoyance, but something closer to panic. Something she tried to bury almost instantly, but not fast enough. "What is that supposed to be?" she said, too quickly, too dismissively, and I felt this cold clarity settle over me, because innocent people ask questions differently. They lean in, they look closer, they try to understand. But she was already pushing it away before I had even spoken. "It's our room," I said quietly, and she shrugged like that meant nothing. "So?" she replied. "You're acting like you've never seen your own house before." The number sent another message before I could respond. And this time, it was text. "You deserve to know the truth." That was it. No name, no explanation, just that sentence sitting there like it had weight. I typed back immediately, my hands shaking harder than I wanted to admit. Who is this? The 3 dots appeared almost instantly, like whoever it was had been waiting, watching, and that thought alone made my skin crawl. Nicole stepped closer again, trying to angle her body so she could see the screen, but I turned slightly away from her without even thinking, and that small movement shifted something between us in a way I could not undo. Probably some scam, she said, her tone tightening. Or one of your friends trying to mess with you because you've been acting paranoid lately. I looked at her then, really looked at her, and I realized she was not even trying to understand what was happening. She was trying to control my reaction to it. Why would a scammer have a picture of our bedroom? I asked, and she rolled her eyes like I was exhausting her. Because everything is online, she snapped. People can find anything if they try hard enough. It was such a weak explanation that it almost insulted me, and I felt that anger start to build again, pushing up through the confusion. My phone buzzed again. Another photo. This one hit harder. It was the same room, but this time the bed was different. The sheets were pulled back further, the pillows shifted, and there were 2 shadows cast across the mattress from the light. Not clear figures, just shapes, but enough to tell me that whoever took it was not alone. My stomach dropped so fast I had to grab onto the edge of the car to steady myself. Nicole saw my face change, and her voice lost that sharp edge for a second, replaced by something almost pleading. "You're letting this get into your head," she said, softer now. "This is exactly how people manipulate you." I turned the phone toward her again, and this time she did not even look directly at it. She glanced, then looked away immediately, like even a second too long would give something away. "It could be anything," she insisted, but her voice was thinner now, stretched. "It could be old. It could be edited." I nodded slowly, not because I believed her, but because I was starting to see the pattern. How every answer she gave was not about truth. It was about creating just enough doubt to keep me off balance. The typing dots appeared again on my screen, and this time they lingered longer, like whoever was on the other end was choosing their words carefully. I could feel Nicole watching me, waiting, calculating, and I realized in that moment that whatever this was, whoever this was, they knew something she did not want me to know. The message came through. "If you're standing in the driveway right now, don't go back inside." My heart slammed so hard it felt like it might actually knock the air out of me, because there was no way anyone could have known where I was unless they could see me. Slowly, without saying a word, I lifted my head and looked across the street. And that was when I noticed the car parked there with its lights off, engine running, and someone sitting in the driver's seat watching my house. I felt my entire body go cold in a way I cannot fully explain. Like something deep inside me had already accepted what my mind was still trying to deny. Because I knew, I just knew, that the message and that car were connected. And Nicole followed my gaze across the street, her posture tightening beside me as she tried to see what I was seeing without making it obvious. "What are you looking at?" she asked, but there was tension in her voice now. Something thinner, stretched too tight to sound natural. I did not answer her. I just stood there, staring at that car, watching the faint outline of a person sitting behind the wheel, completely still, like they were waiting for something. Or someone. My phone buzzed again in my hand. "Don't react. She's watching you." I swallowed hard, forcing my face to stay as neutral as I could manage. Even though my pulse was pounding so loudly, I was sure she could hear it. Nicole stepped closer, trying to angle herself into my line of sight again. "Who keeps texting you?" she asked, sharper this time, and I could feel her attention shifting, her control slipping just enough for something real to show underneath. I locked my phone and slid it into my pocket. "Spam," I said flatly, throwing her own excuse back at her, and for a split second, something flashed in her eyes that looked almost like anger mixed with fear. "Give me your phone," she said immediately, her hand already reaching. And that was the moment everything inside me snapped into place, because now she needed control. Not wanted it, needed it. I stepped back without thinking. "No," I said, and the word felt heavier than it should have, like I had just crossed a line I could never uncross. Her expression hardened instantly. "Are you serious right now?" she said. "After everything you've accused me of? Now you're hiding things?" I almost laughed again, but there was nothing funny left in me. "You lost the right to that question," I replied quietly. Across the street, the car's headlights flickered on for just a second, then off again, like a signal. Subtle but intentional, and my stomach tightened. Another vibration in my pocket. "She doesn't know how much you've seen yet." I felt my breathing start to get uneven, not from panic exactly, but from the overwhelming sense that I was standing in the middle of something much bigger than I understood. Something that had been happening around me, behind me, maybe even inside my own home, for longer than I wanted to admit. Nicole was watching me closely now, studying every micro-expression, every shift in my posture. "You're scaring me," she said, but it did not sound like fear. It sounded like strategy, like she was choosing words she knew would pull at something in me. "Then tell me the truth," I shot back, louder than I intended. "Right now, no more deflecting, no more turning this around. What is going on with Ryan?" The name hung in the air between us like something toxic, and for a moment, I thought she might finally break, because her face tightened, her jaw flexed, and she looked away again, just like before. But then she did what she always does. She adapted. "You're obsessed," she said, her voice dropping into that cold, controlled tone that made everything feel upside down. "You've built this entire story in your head, and now you're dragging everyone into it. Ryan is your friend. I am your wife. And instead of trusting either of us, you're standing in the driveway talking about secret messages and random cars like this is some kind of movie." She took a step closer, lowering her voice. "Look at yourself." For a second, just a second, I felt that old doubt creep in again. That familiar erosion of certainty she had been slowly carving into me for months. And I hated how effective it still was. But then my phone buzzed again, sharp and undeniable, cutting through everything she was trying to rebuild. "Ask her about last Thursday, 2:17 p.m. Don't let her change the subject." I looked at her, really looked at her, and said, "Where were you last Thursday at 2:17 in the afternoon?" She blinked. Just once. Too slow. "Work," she said immediately after. But it came out just a fraction too fast, like she had grabbed the first answer available instead of the right one. And that was when the car across the street started moving. The car did not speed off or make some dramatic escape. It just started rolling slowly down the street like whoever was inside knew they did not need to rush, like they had already done what they came to do. And I felt this strange pull in my chest, half instinct, half desperation, telling me that if I let it leave, I would lose something I might never get back. Nicole grabbed my arm the second I stepped off the driveway. "Where are you going?" she demanded, her voice sharper now, the mask slipping further than I had seen all night. "To get answers," I said, pulling free, and she tightened her grip for a second before letting go, like she was weighing whether stopping me would expose more than letting me go. "Are you seriously chasing some random car right now?" she called after me, but there was something underneath it. Not disbelief, not concern, something closer to panic dressed up as irritation. I ignored her and moved faster, my heart pounding in my ears as the car reached the corner and paused at the stop sign, just sitting there for a moment like it was giving me time to catch up. That detail alone made my skin crawl, because this was not coincidence. This was intentional. My phone buzzed again as I stepped into the street. "Don't let her come with you." I did not turn around, but I could hear Nicole behind me, her footsteps quick, uneven, trying to keep up while still pretending she was not worried. "This is insane," she said, louder now, like she wanted the neighbors to hear, like she needed witnesses to whatever version of this story she would tell later. You're proving my point. You're out of control. I kept walking, faster now, closing the distance between me and that car, my mind racing through every possibility, every version of the truth that could be waiting inside. "Stop," she said again, closer this time. And when I did not respond, her voice dropped, low and urgent, the performance gone. "You don't understand what you're doing." That made me slow down, just for a second, because those words felt different, heavier, like they carried something real. I turned slightly, not fully, just enough to catch her expression, and what I saw there was not anger. It was fear. Not for me, for herself. "Then explain it," I said, my voice steady despite everything breaking inside me. "Explain any of this." She shook her head quickly, stepping toward me, lowering her voice again like she was trying to pull me back into her control. "Not like this," she said. "Not out here. You're letting someone manipulate you." I almost believed her again. I hate admitting that. But years of trust do not disappear cleanly. They fight to survive even when they should not. The car's brake lights flared red. Waiting. My phone vibrated again, sharper this time, like urgency. "She's lying. She was not at work. She was with him. I can prove it." Something inside me snapped into place. Colder now, more focused than before, and I took another step forward. Nicole moved in front of me suddenly, blocking my path, her hands raised like she could physically stop what was happening. "If you go to that car," she said, her voice tight, controlled, "you are choosing to destroy everything over paranoia." I looked at her, really looked at her, at the woman I had built a life with, the woman who could still look me in the eyes and twist reality without flinching, and I realized something that made my chest ache in a completely different way. Everything was already destroyed. "You did that," I said quietly. For a second, her face cracked again. That same flicker, that same glimpse of something real underneath all the layers. And then it hardened. "Fine," she said, stepping aside, her voice suddenly calm in a way that felt wrong. "Go!" I did not hesitate. I walked straight to the driver's side as the window began to roll down slowly, inch by inch, and my heart was pounding so hard I could barely hear anything else, because this was it. This was the moment where whatever truth had been circling me all night was finally about to step into the light. The window dropped just enough for me to see inside, and the person sitting behind the wheel was someone I never, not even for a second, would have expected. It was my father. For a second, I genuinely thought my brain had broken under the pressure of everything happening, because nothing about that made sense. Not the car, not the messages, not the timing, not the fact that the man who taught me what loyalty was supposed to look like was now sitting across the street from my house in the dark, like a stranger watching my life fall apart. He looked older than he had that morning, like the weight of something had been sitting on him for a long time, and when his eyes met mine, there was no surprise there, no confusion, just this quiet, heavy resignation like he knew this moment had been coming and there was no way to avoid it anymore. "Get in," he said, his voice low, steady, like he was trying to keep things from spilling over. I just stood there, staring at him through the half-open window, my chest tightening with something I could not even name yet, because betrayal from your wife is one thing, but seeing your father in the middle of it, somehow connected, somehow involved, it twisted everything into something unrecognizable. "What are you doing here?" I asked, and my voice sounded distant, like it was coming from somewhere behind me instead of out of my own body. Behind me, I could hear Nicole's footsteps slow. She had stopped walking, and she was not saying anything anymore. That silence from her hit me almost as hard as seeing him, because for the first time all night, she was not trying to control the narrative. Not interrupting, not correcting, not twisting, just quiet. My father exhaled slowly, glancing past me for a brief second, toward her, and then back at me. "I told you not to go back inside," he said, like that was the only part that mattered right now, like everything else could wait. I shook my head, trying to piece together how any of this connected. "You're the one texting me?" I asked, holding up my phone slightly. He nodded once. No hesitation. That single movement felt like the ground shifting under my feet. "Why?" I asked, and I could hear something breaking into my voice now, something raw and unguarded. "Why are you sending me pictures of my own house? Why are you sitting out here instead of just coming to the door like a normal person?" He looked at me for a long moment before answering, like he was choosing how much truth I could handle in one piece. "Because if I had walked up to that door," he said quietly, "you wouldn't have believed me." I felt a chill run through me at that, slow and heavy. Because he was right. I would not have. Not without proof. Not without something undeniable. And suddenly all those messages, the photos, the timing, it started to feel less random and more constructed. "Believe you about what?" I asked. Before he could answer, Nicole's voice came from behind me, sharp and cutting through the air like a blade. "This is insane," she said, but there was no confidence in it now, no control, just tension stretched too thin. "You called him?" she demanded, and I turned slightly, just enough to see her face, and what I saw there was not anger anymore. It was calculation unraveling. "I didn't call him," I said slowly. "My father spoke at the same time. I've been watching for weeks." The words hung there, heavy, irreversible. Nicole's composure cracked completely for the first time. "Stop!" she snapped, stepping forward quickly now, her voice rising, not caring who heard anymore. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to twist things." She looked at me, her eyes wide, urgent, searching for something in me she could still control. "He doesn't know what he's talking about." My father didn't even look at her. "He knows exactly what I'm talking about," he said. I felt my heart start to race again, faster than before, because there was something in his tone, something final, something that told me whatever came next was going to change everything in a way I could not undo. "Get in the car," he said again, more firmly this time. And for the first time that night, Nicole didn't try to stop me. She just stood there, watching. I opened the passenger door and got in. I did not look back at her right away, not because I did not want to, but because I was afraid of what I would see if I did. Afraid that whatever expression was on her face now would erase the last piece of the woman I thought I knew. The door shut with a dull, final sound, sealing me inside this moment with my father, with the quiet hum of the engine, with the weight of something that had clearly been building long before tonight. For a second, neither of us spoke. I could feel him beside me, steady, controlled, but underneath that there was tension, something restrained. "Drive," I said, my voice low, because I did not want this conversation happening 10 feet from my front door. He nodded once and pulled away from the curb. In the side mirror, I saw her, Nicole, standing in the driveway, arms wrapped around herself watching us leave. Not chasing, not calling, just watching. And that image, more than anything else, told me she knew exactly what this was, and she knew she had lost control of it. We drove in silence for a full minute before I finally turned to him. "Start talking," I said. No anger in it now, just exhaustion, just the need for something real. He exhaled slowly, gripping the wheel a little tighter. "I didn't want to be right about this," he said. "I kept hoping I was wrong." That hit me in a way I was not ready for, because it meant this was not sudden, not new, not a misunderstanding that spiraled out of control. This had been unfolding, quietly, without me. "How long?" I asked. He did not answer immediately. "Weeks," he said finally. "Maybe longer. That's just when I started noticing things." My chest tightened again. "Noticing what?" He glanced at me briefly, then back at the road. "Her car," he said. It wasn't where she said it would be. I felt that cold clarity return, sharper now, more painful because it was aligning with everything I had already seen. "So you followed her?" I asked. He nodded. "I didn't plan to," he said. "At first I told myself it was coincidence. But then it kept happening. Same days, same times, same pattern. My hands clenched in my lap. "And Ryan," I said, barely able to get his name out now. "You saw her with him." Another pause. "Not at first," he said. "At first it was just locations that didn't make sense, places she had no reason to be. Then last Thursday." He stopped there, like even saying it out loud carried weight. 2:17, I said. He looked at me, surprised for the first time. "Yeah," he said quietly. My heart started pounding again, harder, because now the pieces were locking together in a way I could not ignore anymore. "What happened at 2:17? I asked. He hesitated. And that hesitation felt different from before, heavier, like whatever he was about to say was not just bad, but something that would change how I saw everything, including him. "I saw her go into a house," he said slowly. "What house?" I asked. He swallowed. Then he said an address, and I felt my entire body go numb, because I knew that address. It was Ryan's house, but that was not the part that destroyed me. The part that did was what my father said next. "She wasn't the first one there,"